Hello and welcome to episode 8 of the Your Way podcast. Yes, I'm still away. I'm recording this straight after last week's episode. So at the end of last week's episode, you may have recalled me saying I was going to talk to you this week about why we start before the start line. So let's dive in, shall we? So often we come to personal development, whether that's a therapist, a counselor, a coach, like whatever. We come when the pain of change is no longer greater than the pain of staying the same. So I think it's Einstein that said, we only do things when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change. Okay. And that means that often we've got ourselves into a little bit of a tricky situation before we join, before we get support. So for the people that I work with, either they are on the brink of or quite deeply embedded in burnout, or they've fallen out of love with their businesses, or they've left corporate and they've started a business and they aren't making any traction because all of their big, deep stuff that they didn't realize was there or didn't realize was going to get in the way of their business is. And so if you imagine a program or something being set up with you being at the start line, you actually come in a lot of the time way behind the start line, right? And I remember when I first started doing this work, I would do all of these posts about don't wait until you burn out to get support. Like, it's so important. These are the signs of burnout. These are the things to look out for. I left it too long. Don't do what I did. And the problem is, no one pays the blindest bit of attention to it, because until you are full on burnt out, you aren't necessarily even aware that you are on the way to burnout, or you think it's going to be fine, or all of these other things. Or you think at some point your business will tip over or different things will happen. And so it's just human nature, right? We want to try and do things ourselves until we can't do things ourselves. So I had someone reach out to me a while ago. They were going to start a new job and they kind of wanted to, but then they kind of didn't, and they were umming and ahhing about it. And then they started the new job, and then a few months went by, and then they reached out again and were like, a few months in now, I'm still really struggling. Can we talk about working together? And it's that kind of thing. And it's not good, it's not bad, it's just human nature. Like, I know I just want to try and figure this thing out on my own. And so by the time they come, they're now a few more months into destructive patterns, behaviors that don't help them, things that aren't great. Or like with burnout, there's been quite a lot of damage done to the system. I was going to think of a nicer way of saying it, but there isn't one. There's been quite a lot of damage done to the system. If you've done my burnout class, you'll know there's like cellular stuff that happens, there's nervous system stuff that happens, and then there's the emotional overwhelm that we experience as well. So there's so much stuff that actually has to be worked through and looked at before you get back to the start line or baseline, right? So, and I'm sure it will change at some point, but at the moment on my website, and I think on my LinkedIn as well, where you can sort of write a bit more stuff, I talk about the fact that the first phase of working with someone is often this restore phase. We have to restore all facets of the person back to a healthy baseline. And this can take time. So depending on how a person arrives, this can take a month, but it can also take a few months. It can take 6 months. I do a lot of work with the nervous system and the body. Most people that come to me have spent pretty much an entire lifetime thinking that they were just the neck and a head and everything is head-based. And in order to access the body and the wisdom of the body and be able to be more in touch with themselves, there's a whole process that has to happen that doesn't happen overnight, which can be frustrating, but it's just how it is, right? We can't rush the process, we can't bypass the steps. We have to get back to a healthy baseline first, okay? Now, what often happens is, so you feel normal, You've then done all of this stuff that means you're like way behind baseline. You go and get help. You get back to normal again. You notice I'm saying normal, not healthy, right? Normal functioning again. And you're like, right, I'm done now. And then you go back into your life and you do the same patterns again, because you haven't actually fixed any of your patterns at this point. You've just got back to baseline. And then you go and play the whole thing again. And so you can spend your life quite easily going from baseline to negative, to baseline to negative, to baseline to negative. Okay. Now, what we really want to do, because the whole point of doing this work is so that we have more capacity to deal with what life throws at us, and we are more resilient and we are more able, because we ain't ever going to change the circumstances going on out there. We're never going to change the world situation. We're never going to change how other people behave around us. We can only change how we react to it. And so the work that we really want to do is get to baseline. So we use the work to get back in connection with ourselves, back in alignment, back to where we're feeling good. And then we carry on. Once we're feeling strong, we use the work to get stronger. So that next time we have the setback, we're not starting from here. If you're not watching this on YouTube, just imagine my hand is back at the start line. There's a new start line that's further on, right? You're now starting from here. So when you have the setback, you come back down to here maybe, but you're not going back down here again. And so over time, I'm just going to recalibrate the start line to here. Over time, the more of this work you do, so out of alignment, get strong. When you're feeling strong, get stronger. Out of alignment, get strong. Feeling stronger, right? So over time, your baseline shifts and you become stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. But the problem is, if you just get back to zero every time, you're playing a nil-sum game every single time. And I just really want you to think about this, and you can apply it to personal. I'm guessing you like personal development because you're listening to this podcast. But if you're kind of new to personal development, apply it to exercise or diet. You know, you could go to the gym for 6 months. If you then never went to the gym again and didn't replace it with any other kind of exercise, you're going to go backwards, right? You kind of got to keep going. Or a running regime or healthy eating. If you're like, I'm going to stop eating 10 donuts a day and I'm just going to eat salad, and then lose 10 pounds, and you're like, great, I've lost my 10 pounds, I'm going to go back on my 10 donuts a day now. The 10 pounds is coming back pretty quick, right? I'm not here to do maths with calories, but you get my point. So really, really want to reinforce this, because the personal development industry in some ways is great, and in some ways it's got a lot to answer for, because a lot of people are selling this quick fix. Do my 6-week, 6-minute, 3-step program, and you will be resolved and healed and feel amazing forever and ever, amen. And that's it. That's all that you need to do. And then you do those programs, you feel a little bit better for a while because you've got back to the start line. And then a few weeks later, you're like, well, why do I feel shit again? Maybe it's something wrong with me. Maybe I've done something wrong. Or maybe the program is the thing that's wrong. Sometimes it might be. But if we haven't got this mentality of, I use the work to get back to baseline, then I use it to get stronger, it's not going to do us any favors. So I really, really want you to think about this. And I touched upon this in last week's episode, but I didn't really want to go into it because I wanted to talk about it today. But this is one of the reasons why Your Way is a 12-month membership. I could have done, come in for a month, stay as long as you like. It's 6 weeks, or it's 8 weeks, or it's 12 weeks to make it more palatable. And you'd have come in. Even those of you that are working with me right now, because we've all still got work to do, you'd have come in, you'd have got to maybe baseline for the group, for the like group criteria, or you've got a bit past baseline depending on where you're at and how long we've been working together. And then that would be it, you'd be off again, right? And so the reason why it's 12 months is that so you have got a place to land, because when we feel safe and we are held, our body can be like, okay, I'm supported, I'm ready. This is something that I can lean into now. I can let this stuff out. I can let this stuff out. I'm going to be held. Okay. So you can land, you can get back to baseline. And then when you are feeling strong, you can use the work to get stronger. And by the way, when the 12 months ends, the membership continues. It's just up to you if you want to keep going, right? And so I can't reinforce this enough. It is so, so important. And I have backed and forth so much on, oh, how long can I make this program? And if I take away all of the scarcity thoughts that I have about why people won't want to do a year, and I think about what is the minimum length of time that a person needs to spend with me in this kind of space to get back to baseline, and then do a decent chunk of moving their baseline up so that no matter what happens in the future, they're starting from a stronger place and they're building that strength and they're building that capacity. The obvious answer is it's 12 months. And I am kind of done with people pleasing and giving people half-assed results because I'm not willing to step into this is actually what you need. And more recently, my one-to-one clients, I've had similar conversations. You know, you can sign up for 6 months if you want. Realistically, this work is going to take at least a year. No one wants to hear it because we all want the quick fix. But if you want the quick fix, just know that you're going baseline negative, baseline negative. If you want to deeply grow and develop and become healthier and expand in your career and grow your business and deepen your relationships and deepen your ability to hold all of the human experience, which is glorious and messy at the same time, all of the time. The best thing that you can do is put yourself into long-term spaces that are going to hold and support you through all of that. Your way may be that space, and it may not be that space. It's your way. It's not going to be for everyone. I wasn't kidding when I said last week that this is going to be a small group. This will be a small group of like-minded individuals here to do the work, here to become the truest versions of themselves, to peel off as much of the armor as possible, to feel as comfortable in their own skin as possible, and who want to be able to say to the world, this is me and who I am is okay, even though the world might be like, is that normal though? Because being healthy, taking care of yourself, putting yourself first, having healthy boundaries is not normal in our world. It's not celebrated. It's not seen as a positive. And so to step in and do this work is big, brave work. And if you are big and brave and you are feeling called, then check out the link in the show notes. Come and have a conversation with me about it. This is going to come out on the 2nd of November, so we start next week. Our first call is the 9th of November. We will be looking at thriving throughout the holidays and ending the year strong throughout November and December. I'm not piling on a load of extra stuff for you to think about, extra stuff for you to navigate. This is properly let's get you to the start line. And if you're at the start line, let's build some extra strength and resilience in your system so that you can navigate the end of the year. And then in January, who knows? In January, my thought for the theme of January is, who do you think you are? Like a real exploration into that existential question. But I'll be honest, I follow where life is leading me now, and anything could happen between now and then. It's still only the 20th of October. So we will see. So check out the link below. Come and speak to me if you are interested. And whatever on the program, really spend some time to think about where you are in terms of the start line and what your personal desires are in terms of how you want to develop and grow. Because you might be fine to be like, I'm fine just going negative to the start line, thanks, Louise. Right? But if you know you have that thing in you that's like, no, I'm on this journey, I'm gonna keep going, then keep going. All right, take care. I will see you soon. Bye.